as guest number 2 here on opening day from Founders Park. Now, so LP, we had Smoke in earlier, and now we've got you. So if you and him were in your prime hitting BP, who hits it further?
Let's see. I would say, I'll give it to Justin. He has me on career home runs in South Carolina. He's the all-time record holder there. So I think I'm in third or fourth place, and I played an extra year than him. He was only there 3 years. I played 4, so I'll have to bow down and say Justin gets me. But we all know that I'm a little bit more competitor than that, so it'd be fun to see.
Yeah, well, I wish I should have held him over because this is where I would love to. He's about to tee off, or he actually has teed off now, and he's one of my best friends, so I like getting under his skin when I can. This would be the perfect opportunity to say, well, yeah, Atlanta, he might have the record, but golly, 20, 25 of those were just cheapies. They barely got over playing at the Sarge. The wind was blowing out. I mean, there wasn't. That's the crap that gets him going. Yours landed on the softball field over the railroad tracks. So anyways, Landon, real quick here though, I want to hit on your club, and we got a large audience in the upstate, man. Would love them to go out and support North Greenville and watch y'all play ball. You're off to a good start again this year. I know you had a nice little trip down to Florida and picked up some nice wins down there, but I think 6-1 if my memory serves me correct, and nationally ranked and competing for a national championship again.
Yeah, another year, but got a good team. We lost some great players. We lost North Greenville's version of Justin Smoke last year. John Michael Fail was our All-American catcher, 4-time All-American. He broke the all-time record last year for home runs and RBIs in Division II baseball, all-time. The record previously was 75, and he finished his career with 81 home runs. Actually broke the all-time home run record on a walk-off home run in the regional. So he's the greatest player to ever play Division II baseball, 4-time All-American, national champ, national player of the year, and holds the all-time record for home runs and RBIs. So we lost him and a couple other great players. Jalen Vasquez, former Gamecock, got drafted out of shorts. That was our shortstop. Our closer got drafted. Our right fielder, Mark Kloop, who many saw in the World Baseball Classic with Czech Republic. He graduated and now is playing professionally. So we lost some great players, but we try to, as Coach Toman, my Coach Toman and Coach Tanner used to always say, we like to reload and not rebuild.
That's right.
So we got some new guys in, and we really like what we have. We have a lot of really young players, probably the youngest team I've ever had, and maybe the most talent from a young group of players I've ever had. So really excited about this season. We started out 6-1. We did lose a game in Florida 2-3 to a team that we feel like we should have beat. We just didn't have a good day at the ballpark, but we've taken care of the rest of the game so far. We're ranked second in the country. So we're right up there in the top couple in the polls, and got a big series this weekend against Post University out of Connecticut. They were a regional team last year, so be a good little test for us. And but we're off and rolling, excited for baseball season. I know the Gamecock fans are excited because it's opening day, and it's time. It's time to play some college baseball.
Yeah, Landon, and you guys, Phil's sitting here next to me in the booth, and of course, and JC's in his home studio, so y'all jump in wherever you may. But I think one of the things that I love about college baseball is that you don't really know who you are for 3 or 4 weeks generally, and that's one of the things that I'm really interested to see with South Carolina this year. They lost a lot of starters last year on the mound. Of course, they returned, ton of guys, All-Americans and guys like that in the lineup and things of that nature. But I mean, you're the ultimate baseball guy. You get all that. You were a catcher, so you know what pitchers look like early in the year. They're on counts or working on things or trying to get into the groove. It takes them some time. You were a hitter. Sometimes when you open up the season, you're just not seeing it that well. And so I always like to hear the insight of guys who've kind of been through the wars like you as a player, but also as a coach, because you see it from both angles. You know what these guys are going through. Sometimes when you open the season, you drop a couple games maybe you're not supposed to drop, but it's just baseball.
Yeah, and you're right. You definitely find just some stuff out about your team early in the year. There's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of excitement. There's guys that are expected to do things. There are other guys that not much is expected out of them, but they will emerge and they'll step up. That's the fun part about it. I think most of the time, if you look at the opening day starting lineup and the final game starting lineup, rarely are they ever the same. It's always going to be a different mix in there at the end because things change. I mean, these are college athletes, and you don't know what's going to happen all the time. But I'll say this about South Carolina: they have a lot of big expectations this year. A lot of people have chosen them to be one of the teams in Omaha, maybe even a national championship contender, and that's exciting. As a Gamecock fan and an alumni and everything myself, I want nothing more than for the Gamecocks to be back on the national scene competing for championships. I know offensively, they got a lot of guys returning that have credentials, and that's important to know that those guys have already put up numbers in the SEC. They have confidence. They know what it's like to play in front of 8,000 fans. So I think with Messina and Petrie and Cassis and Talmadge Leakroy, you got some guys that you can really bank on that they're going to go out there and have, productive seasons. Does Petrie still hit, 30 home runs like we expect him to? Maybe not, but he's going to do good. He's going to be a good player. The ones that, when you get a little worried is when you have a bunch of new guys, new blood, freshmen, JUCO transfers, guys that haven't played in that setting. You don't know how they're going to handle the pressure of the SEC, the amount of fans in the stands. So I think South Carolina having veteran hitters back is very important for them. I think that'll bode well. On the mound is kind of the opposite. They do have some veteran guys back, but they also have some new guys and some young guys. Even a guy like Roman Kimbrell, who's supposed to be the ace probably of the staff, or could, definitely one of the weekend guys. He's never pitched a game in South Carolina, and there's a lot of pressure on him to have a great year. So I think pitching is probably the question mark, and I don't know if question mark's a fair thing because I think the pitching is super talented, but I would say pitching is probably if they get great outings on the mound with their offense, I think South Carolina definitely can make some noise this year.
So Landon, you mentioned Messina, and in my view, if anybody cares about my view, watching this kid from 2 years ago to where he is now at this level has been really neat. When he got into college, he had some things to work on behind the plate. Offensively, you could tell he was a little lost. He was trying to figure it out. Well, he figured it out, didn't he? He had a big year last year. So you were a big bopper, power hitting catcher. But I think the thing that always stood out about Landon Powell when you played was you were always a catcher first, always. And you mentioned that some of these, what, are you shaking your head at me?
No, I got some guys walking up to my truck right now trying to talk to the gas station.
I was like
coming up to my window.
Wait.
So.
Can I wash your windshield for you?
Yeah, he's like walking up to my window. I'm like, I'm doing something right now.
Brandon, where you at, Landon?
Sorry about that.
Breaking news: Landon Powell mugged on TV
live an interview. West Greenville.
It's getting a little squirrely up in Tigerville.
I was driving down the road and I pulled over at a QT just to make sure I had good service and everything. And so I walked through my window here. He seems like a nice guy.
Look, I missed the QT. I'll be honest. That's one of the things I miss about home.
Yeah, I'm more of an Exxon guy. But Landon, I'll get you out of here. I know you got to get going.
No, we're good. We're good. Don't worry about
it. But you were a catcher first. And, even though you hit 330 or whatever it was in the SEC and all those home runs, all that stuff, but you handled the staff, man. I mean, they trusted you. And I think that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about seeing Cole get better at. This staff really trusts him. So can you kind of walk us down that path of what he will be going through mentally as a catcher here early in the year? Like you just mentioned, a lot of guys, a lot of talent, but certainly some question marks, guys on pitch counts and things like that, working on things, trying to figure out new pitches. There's a lot of stuff on Cole Messina's plate here to try to help get that staff right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Cole Messina. I've liked him ever since I saw him in high school. As when I'm college coach and I'm recruiting out there, I'm watching guys. So he was a guy that I saw and liked immediately. And then, of course, South Carolina snatched him up before I could ever talk to him, but which is the right place for him. I really respect he's a gamer. He's a dog. Like he's got that chip on his shoulder when he plays. And I think that's really important to have. And as a catcher, especially, you set the tone and the demeanor for your team. I mean, there's 8 other guys on that field. They're staring at you. You're the only one that's facing them. And, they get a lot of energy from you as a catcher. They get their demeanor. So if you're struggling back there and you're not having a great day, it's gonna be contagious to them. If you're bouncing around, blocking balls, fist pumping, getting fired up, it works the same way. Your team really believes and buys in there. So I think Messina is a huge piece of the puzzle for South Carolina. Had a great year last year. I believe he'll follow that up again with another great year. But his leadership, his competitiveness, and obviously how he handles that pitching staff will be so key to how much success they have. Look at any great baseball team. Look at the teams in the major leagues that win World Series every year. They always have great catchers. I mean, you're not going to have a lot of success without a great catcher behind the plate. And I think South Carolina's got a good one right now. I mean, he's made All-American last year. And, I love seeing an All-American catcher at South Carolina. It used to be, we used to always talk about it. We thought it was catcher U. I mean, we had pride as catchers to play there when Coach Toman was recruiting the best catchers in the country to go there. So I love seeing a great catcher at South Carolina.
He's pretty good, huh, Coach?
Yeah, he wasn't bad. That's what I was going to say, Landon. This is Stewart. You think he can go about 52 games behind the plate?
I don't know if Stu. I don't know if he's got the Iron Man stuff like Tanner used to demand. I mean, I think what was that 02? I caught like 76 games or something.
God, yeah.
I didn't even know if we had another catcher.
Innings. Yeah, I mean, poor Greenwood and anybody else back there. Coach Tanner just would never give him a chance. But no, I think I'm sure the South Carolina's got a couple backups that are great. But I would love to see Messina back there as much as possible. And also, by the way, Stu, congrats on the new gig. I know that I saw that come across, and you're the perfect choice. And obviously, Tommy's a legend, and we all love him. We're going to miss him, but I couldn't be happier for you to be in that role, and I know Tommy would be too.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It means a lot. You know what you mean to me, and I've told everybody all year I'm going to just be the guy sitting by Derek, but I'm extremely proud to get to do it. And, I'll be bringing some good stories up with you.
Yeah,
we got a bunch of them. That's right.
There's plenty. I don't know how many could be on the air, but
yeah. Well, only the good ones on the air.
Is Landon the last first team All-American catcher here?
I'm trying to think. I mean, we've had some good ones since, but I think he may be
because Messina's preseason.
They grind.
I don't think Grayson ever made it. Probably,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's it, right, Landon? You've got to be. You were a first teamer your senior year.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I think junior and senior year maybe. Senior year I was unanimous, but I don't think Griner ever made it. But he was really close. He had a great year his senior year, or I guess that was his junior year.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for Messina. That's man, I love seeing great catchers at South Carolina, and he's one of the best ones that's come along in a while. So.
Well, that's a nice statement coming from probably the best catcher to ever play here.
One of my favorite things to do to Coach Tanner when I have him in a car is I'll say, what position guy, just South Carolina, I don't go up NC State, which guy changed what you thought about the program? And Landon's always that catcher. Ryan Bordenick was a great one when Coach got here. We had other good ones, before and after, but that name always comes up
always.
First. So, that's what's cool to us.
I remember reading about Landon in the newspaper because there was a newspaper back then. And I remember he reclassified.
You were in the newspaper back then, man.
They're all getting old, but I remember he reclassified. That was the big deal. I'm like, holy crap, they're getting this guy to come to college because he was the people thought he was going to go straight to the majors, and he reclassified and came in a year early. And I think just back then, not even following baseball recruiting that much, I think I got that feeling too. So I agree with Coach Tanner. So
it's funny. It's funny how it works out because I reclassed in 7th grade. My dad held me back and had me do 7th grade again, and it was really because of football. I was a really good football player, and a bunch of the high school football coaches were saying, "Hey, all these kids in Texas are starting to reclass and hold back a year, and then they graduate at Christmas of their senior year and go into college and get a whole spring practice of college." So my dad bought into that and he held me back. So I had to do 7th grade twice, which as a social, you think about the social awkwardness of a 13, 14-year-old having to be held back and do it again. It was not the most fun season of life, but it was really beneficial for me as an athlete. I got a lot better. So then I go into high school and I'm having a lot of success and I've committed to South Carolina, and I get to my end of my junior year and we're like, why don't we just go ahead and go to college? So I reclassed in 7th grade to be held back. and then I skipped my senior year and went straight to South Carolina. So it was like the whole thing ended up being a wash. But it's funny because now you look at the landscape, everybody reclasses. I mean, the majority of good high school players are reclassing now. It's like common ground. And when I did it, it was like my dad was making huge waves. We were the first person to do it in our area. People were upset about it. And but I look back and think how things worked out. There's another little funny kind of little side story. When I was getting recruited, the two schools I really wanted to go to were either NC State or South Carolina. And that's because I grew up an NC State kid and I grew up in the dugout there, and Tanner and Toman were big mentors in my life. Well, they left to go to South Carolina. So that's why I wanted to go to South Carolina. I want to be with them. But those are the two schools I thought I would be at, NC State or South Carolina. Elliot Avent came to one of my Legion games in high school, and I hadn't committed to South Carolina yet. And he walked up to me and he goes, "Hey, I just want you to know, I'm not even going to recruit you. And the reason is because I know you want to go to NC State. I know that you love this school, but I'm not even going to waste my time recruiting you because you're never going to play a day of college baseball. You're going to get drafted out of high school. You're never going to play a day of college baseball." And honestly, at the time, it upset me. It bothered me because I loved NC State. And now that wasn't an option. I mean, he told me they weren't going to recruit me. So I committed to South Carolina shortly after, which is probably where I was going to be anyway. And then I go to South Carolina, and I played the most games of any Gamecock ever at South Carolina. So Avent didn't think I'd ever play a college game, and then I ended up playing. By the time I retired, I had played the most games ever at South Carolina. I think Wingo has now beat that, but it's funny how the world works out. It's funny how God has a story for you, and for me to get held back in high school and then skip my senior year and then have a great experience in South Carolina and play there for 4 years. I was really lucky, and I love it. And so when I'm watching the Gamecocks on opening day today, I'll be remembering those days and be excited for those players that they're living their dream right now. The best years of their life, they're getting to go out there and play college baseball in front of great fans, and what a better time to be alive.
Landon, we can't thank you enough. We've got to run. We got to get to Blake Cooper, but I'll read this to you real quick. We've got our Nana Sports chat box, and Clint just wrote something in there that says, "I remember when Landon committed to South Carolina, I was working with a girl named Allison Davies at Belk at the time. I think he might know her pretty well."
Know her pretty well, yeah. She that's my wife,
yeah.
And the mother of my kids. She's a good one. I outpunted my coverage a little bit there, didn't I, Stu?
Yeah. My last two comments, you kicked it into the stands, by the way, in that. So, and then can we let Mr. Ronnie? So what you're telling me is, Mr. Ronnie, your dad is a visionary. Can we put that term in front of his name now?
You know that as well as anybody, Stu.
He's the best, man. I love you. I'm gonna get out of the way. Hey, good luck to you today, and hope to see you soon too.
We'll
Have
see
a
you
good
soon.
one. I'll be listening.
Awesome.
Thanks, Landon. We'll see you soon.
All right, see you guys. Y'all take care.